Good evening. I'm Socrates Garrett, and we're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi, the heart of the Deep South, right here in the African-American-owned broadcasting studio. WeBelieveDigital.com, our own platform. And so it's critically important that in the African-American community, we control the narrative. I look forward to receiving opportunities to show and advertise your products for goods and services and to move your brand along in this community. We're broadcasting live on Facebook. On We Believe Digital Podcast, go to Roku and download our app, and We Believe Global, with shows like this to bring articulate, intelligent conversations and dialogue to our platform. So I'm here to continue sounding the alarm. This is how the South is going to rise again.
The movement involved some great and courageous people. Aaron Henry, Fannie Lou Hamer, so many people who every day took their lives in their hands to make Mississippi a better place. But they had to have lawyers likewise.
The changing of a society is a process that's glacial, whether we like it or not. Changing people's minds is an enormous undertaking.
Mississippi. It was the worst of the closed society.
There were so many things going on in Mississippi that were bad. If you could have seen the way black people were treated, it was just horrendous.
Our society is one based on the rule of law. That's how it's done in America. Lawyers were a helping role and a necessary role.
The primary responsibility of the national government was to protect fundamental rights, the rights of freedom and equality of the black people. And the national government wasn't moving.
Lawyers put real lives on the line.
I remember he was handling one case. He had received a telephone call saying, if you show up for court, we will kill you.
We must come to grips with the fact that while we are engaged in a battle to get an ultimate goal, it will take generations to do it.
We Believe wants to hear from you. To be
Good
on tonight's
evening.
show, please call 1-800-492-5186.
Welcome to our show.
Watch
We're broadcasting live right here in Jackson,
to be on
Mississippi.
tonight's show, please call 1.
We're broadcasting from our very own platform, WeBelieveDigital.com. You can review our show on Facebook at We Believe Digital Podcast, on YouTube at We Believe Digital, Roku TV on We Believe Global. You can call in tonight at 800-492-5186. You can advertise with us by calling 800-492-5186, option number 1. Now, you saw the commercial and the trailer that we played just before our show began. And Black History Month concluded just yesterday or day before. And we're going to visit Black History Month in the context of what went on in Mississippi. And I have with me my guest tonight is a prominent attorney right here in Jackson, Mississippi, Brent Hazzard, a young man that knows a little bit about Mississippi. And we're going to discuss a few things like critical race theories and our city of Jackson's government and the meltdown that we're seeing in local government. and why it's taking place. And so we're going to have a great show. So stay with us, and I'm going to get right into it and introduce my guest, Attorney Brent Hazzard. Welcome, Brent.
Always a pleasure to be here, Socrates, and always a pleasure to be shocked at what we're going to talk about tonight.
Well, I tell you, Brent, did you see the trailer that came on just before the show? And do you agree that lawyers played a prominent part in protecting the movement? Or were lawyers, in fact, the engine that were oppressing the people of the movement?
Being before my time, I just know certain individuals. Like when I've talked to Vic McTeer from Greenville. Vic told me, for those who do not know, Vic McTeer, lawyers, there's a lot of people with JDs and bar numbers. That ain't a lawyer. A lawyer is one of those guys you can send, or woman, where you can send in anywhere. Anybody, you're going to Otala County, you're going to Biloxi, you're going to St. Louis, you're going to New York, and here's your case, and good luck. And they'll be like, I got it. Vic McTeer was smooth. And I asked him one day, because I'm from Greenville, and so is Vic. And for those who don't know, John Grisham's book, The Runaway Jury, is based on one of Vic McTeer's cases. And he's retired, and he's somewhere on his yacht, hopefully living a great life. But I knew him from the YMCA in Greenville, and I said, Vic, how'd you get so smooth? He said, Mr. Hazzard, in 1978, I came down from St. Louis to help my African-American brothers and sisters. And I went to federal court to start filing civil rights cases. And it's hard to be a bad lawyer when the federal judge is calling you racial slurs. And I thought to myself, oh, my God. And for those who know Vic, Vic's had a lot of victories. I know those people. I mean, I don't know the role Reuben Anderson played, but I've had the honor of meeting Mr. Anderson. And, you see those people obviously have paid their dues because there was no mistakes. Right. They could not give an inch. They had to know everything, or they're trying to play 5 cards poker with a pair of deuces. And, the deck
you got to have a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, you going in, this is the best we got.
Yeah.
And, the deck is stacked against us. So, I mean, just knowing how close-knit the bar is now.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
White attorneys played a role in protecting the movement according to the commercial that we just saw. I don't know many white attorneys that were involved in the movement. Ramsey Clark out of Washington, D.C. was looked upon as an individual that was a protector of the movement for black people. And the Kennedys were known to have some propensity to try to protect the rights of black people. But I don't know of any white lawyers in Mississippi that were part of protecting the movement. Now, I say that, and I want you to tell me what you know about William Winter, because he seems to get more press than any other white attorney in terms of being fair.
Well, now, I mean, I think from what I know, that's mostly from him being governor. Now, like I said, I graduated law school in '99. I never wanted to be a practicing attorney. It was just something coming up in a family business. My dad somewhat dictated. I had an accounting degree and a law degree because lawyers and accountants screwed him more than anybody else. True story. But no, I mean, Governor Winter is just known for I know him for is him trying to bring unity to the state when he was as a governor. What do you know about him per se?
Well, we know that he was a champion of education.
Okay.
He did more for education, regardless of the race. He did more for education in the state of Mississippi than anyone else that we know of. And I know him to be a decent man, somewhat control. You see, white people were the victims of the civil rights movement as well, in that good people didn't speak out. And I think that William was silenced a lot in his younger years, but became one of the people that the black community could say that was a good governor and a fair person, along with Ronnie Musgrove. I want to, Ronnie is a good lawyer. and became governor of the state of Mississippi and was looked upon the same way as being a fair and objective person.
Well, I would say the people I would know when you're talking about lawyers and their contribution was not so much in the civil rights fight. Is actually I had the honor of going in front of Judge Betty Sanders, one of the first female African-American judges in the state. She was the head judge in Greenville forever. Judge Owens and Judge Wise, they were one of the first female judges elected. Judge Wingate, first federal black judge. So I know those individuals who were actually Judge Green, Judge Kidd, the ones who are elected now. Judge Gibbs, who was the first elected African American judge in Hinds County? I'm not familiar with that. Do you know? Would that be?
I'm not sure who that would have been the first.
Yeah.
But certainly Reuben Anderson and Fred Banks were in the category of being first in a lot of different things, and actually served on the Mississippi Supreme Court.
But if I was going to be honest, knowing how Ole Miss was back then and knowing how lawyers were and understanding there was no student loans, the only way you went to law school is if your family could afford to send you to 3 more years of school, 7 total. I could see it being a closed-knit society and them not being welcoming because, for the longest amount of time, if you graduated Ole Miss, you didn't have to take the bar. At Mississippi College Law School, you had to take the bar. And MC actually sued the state bar to say, we have to take the bar, so should they.
So if you graduated from Ole Miss, you were smart enough by having graduated, so you don't need to take the bar.
Correct.
And that's another way that we make certain that only certain people are able to practice law in the state of Mississippi.
Correct.
Those were those tactics during that time. So who is the premier African-American lawyer in the state of Mississippi today?
Well, that's the problem with that question, Socrates, is you get into what makes a good lawyer, and it changes. Are you talking, and we have these conversations all the time, not just limited to African American, is it the ones who make the most money? Because sometimes the people who make the most money never go to court. It's like the fight. I know you haven't been in a courtroom, but I know you've been in tons of fights, some of them legal.
I've been in courtrooms.
I'm talking about, but it's just like a physical altercation. You don't know what a fight is. Don't tell me about the 2,000 wins you have. Tell me about the time you're in that bar and you're under that table and you're praying, can I just get out of here? Your best cases come, or your best abilities come out of the cases you lose.
Well, I don't know about that, but there are high-profile attorneys
what do you mean you don't know about that?
Well,
I just said it.
We would say that Ed Blackmon will be ranked as one of the top attorneys in the state of Mississippi.
Well, and
I don't know whether he makes the most money or whether he won more cases than Dennis Sweet. I don't know. But
Ed and Dennis, those gentlemen, and to me, growing up, you had the mass tort world. And mass tort is when everything was tried in Mississippi, was tried in Holmes, Fayette, or Hinds County. Nationwide, they were bringing cases here. And there were 3 gentlemen that you knew was going to be involved in any of those cases. Now, this is around 94 to about 2002, 2003. Ed Blackmon, Dennis Sweet, and Isaac Byrd. Now, on the other side, Ed was usually on the defense side. Now, all 3 of them could go, but they didn't learn how to litigate on $1 million cases, is what I'm saying. They learned from paying their dues in court. But if you're going to start off the premier African American attorneys in the 90s, Dennis is still practicing now, Ed is still practicing now, but they've limited their abilities just because of all the tort reform. You don't really try a lot of cases in 2022. But each Ed or Dennis, those are great litigators on any level, African American.
Isaac Byrd? Isaac Byrd was a young African American attorney that tried to do a lot of great things. He was the visionary guy that I believe he bought Primos's property up there on North
McHale's.
Yeah, and he also was practicing in Chicago, and he was stricken by a stroke, I believe.
I think he had an aneurysm. I think so.
And kind of took him out of the game. Yeah. I think he's doing well, but he's currently not practicing. Brad Pygott was always a supporter and a great friend of him, and Brent's a great attorney as well.
U.S. attorney,
and has to be in the list of the top attorneys in the state of Mississippi. And so, where do you rank Brent?
Technically, we can't rank ourselves without committing an ethics violation, but I would say my resume ranks up with anybody out there. But I mean, if you're talking about premier firms, right now, one of the reasons I joined Schwartz & Associates with 7 conservative judges, I went over to Schwartz because they have approximately close to 150 employees. They have, Alvin Armistead, Andre Branson. They have Patrick Wooten, Mark Fowler, who changed the Mississippi Tort Claims Act. It's nice to be in a big firm and during these conservative times. Now, I have tried a justice court case in the morning and gone and tried a $100 million case in the afternoon. Not a lot of people on the planet can say that when I was prosecuting.
So you're pretty good at your
I'm decent. I'll say that. I'll say this.
Hold that.
Well, no, you really. Oh, go ahead.
Hold your point right there. We're getting ready to go to a break. I want you to watch these commercials very carefully. These are the people that are supporting this program and the fuel that allows us to come and broadcast all over the world. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this short break.
Socrates Garrett ENT.com is a diversified firm specializing in recycled aggregates and crushed concrete. Socrates Garrett ENT.com's recycled materials provide the construction industry with significant economic and environmental benefits by recycling clean concrete rubble into M.Dot grade rock materials. Recycled aggregates and crushed concrete can be applied to driveways, road construction, bank protection, parking lots, general bulk fills, and more. By using Socrates Garrett ENT.com's crushed concrete products, anyone from homeowners to general contractors can help reduce landfilled concrete waste, conserve natural resources, and gain significant economic savings on materials and disposal costs. For more information, please call 601-896-0084 or visit us online at SocratesGarrettENT.com.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
We Believe
We're back,
wants to hear from
and
you.
we're broadcasting live right here from Jackson, Mississippi. We're broadcasting. You can see us on our own platform at WeBelieveDigital.com. You can see us on Facebook, on YouTube, and Roku TV. You can call us at 800-492-5186 and join the discussion. My guest tonight is a prominent attorney right here in Jackson, Mississippi, Brent Hazzard. We're going to talk about a host of different things, and we just finished a segment in dealing with Black History Month and the role that lawyers played. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the government and the meltdown that we're experiencing and seeing right here in Jackson, Mississippi, and perhaps all across this country. So, Brent, you live in Jackson, Mississippi, I believe.
Correct, yes, sir.
And recently your mayor said that he believes that council people have taken bribes. And the council person, especially Kenny Stokes, fired back and said that he believes that the mayor is smoking dope. And then the council person says that he is submitting a drug test to the Attorney General for the state of Mississippi and is calling for the mayor to do the same. Now, Brent, when you have a meltdown or a breakdown in government of this magnitude, what is the logical outcome and what should the citizens be prepared for next?
I'm just honored the Godfather's asking me my opinion about city works. But now let me say this before we change topics. You asked me the premier African-American attorneys now.
Yeah.
Abram Sellers is out there. Yemi Kings is out there. Gerald Mumford is out there. Now, my firm, Alvin Armistead and Gerald Crawford. Those are the ones I just put at the top.
I don't know those people very well.
Well, that's because you don't get out much. But
well,
it's okay. But no, I mean, those are the people.
But those individuals are young.
Yeah.
They're probably your age.
Well, yes.
And they are coming, but they haven't made their mark, not like Ed and Dennis.
No. I mean,
and Isaac and those guys.
Once again, I'm not.
And Victor. They haven't made their mark. And R. Jess Brown, who, was the premier attorney in the very, very beginning. and Abe, and a few others.
Well, yeah,
that are out there.
I graduated in 99, but I want to answer your question.
Okay.
As an attorney, I want to always answer the question, but now let me answer this one.
Your peers have not made their mark to be chronicled in the line of greatness as the others that we were discussing. So I appreciate your effort to promote your peers, but they have not done enough yet to be considered.
Okay, see, I was ready to move on. Let me defer that. Okay,
I'm just saying.
So when Isaac and Dennis and Ed were in their they're all still in their heyday. So, but when they were making their name, the game has completely changed. Okay, mass tort. There was a Wild West here. Now you're dealing with 7 Republicans on the Supreme Court. It's a completely different game now. And I would now those names I put. You're mentioning legends. Those names I put. Those are natural born killers. And I'll take my killers. Now, let me go ahead and say this. If you need an attorney, you come get your redneck friend at Swartz and Associates. And
I don't know. There's Carlton Reeves that's out there.
Well, he's not out there anymore. He's on the bench.
He's on the bench, but he was an attorney.
Carlton Reeves was a lawyer's lawyer.
Yeah. And
Judge Jordan was a lawyer's lawyer.
And so your guys, we're going to have to come back to them in a few years to see how they're doing. Including yourself, Brent.
Oh, so $100 million case ain't good enough for you?
Well, that's impressive.
Blue Cross Blue Shield, $2 billion, that's not good enough for you?
$100 million case.
A $2 billion case. I mean, you can Google me. Did you do any homework before you invited me on?
No, I thought I knew you well.
Oh, okay. Anyway, moving on to your next topic. The phrase that hits me now, and I don't know why, were you raised right? And when I see what the mayor's doing, when I see, let's set the table, because you and I have had some of these conversations privately, but we won't do it. The first issue I saw was there was missing $1 million contract with the city of COVID money. And the Clarion Ledger ran an article and said they gave $1 million contract to a company that may or may not had a trailer as an office in Florence or Flowood or somewhere like that, and that they had lawyered up, and that no one knows what they did for the $1 million. And then there was a employee of the city of Jackson, I do believe, had hired Lisa Ross. And in this article, which was months ago, Lisa Ross said, and Lisa Ross is a fine attorney, excellent attorney, you will not find my client taking any kickbacks. Now, let me go ahead and explain to you what that means legally. That means if I was representing you and there was some allegations of cocaine, you never want to admit that there's cocaine there because it's the duty of the prosecutor to prove that substance. It could have been sugar, could have been flour. But if I came out and said, it wasn't Socrates Garrett's cocaine, I've stipulated basically that there's cocaine there, but it was somebody else's. It wasn't just laying there. So when Lisa Ross said, my client's not taking kickbacks, it implies somewhere else, and it wasn't the company that got the contract, because that's not how kickbacks work.
I'm not exactly sure what you're saying.
Somebody else at the city who awarded that contract on COVID, according to Lisa Ross, there was a kickback involved, reported by the Clarion Ledger. So, transition to what's going on now. When you have the mayor saying that the city councilman's taking kickbacks or taking bribes, I don't know of anybody at the city council being investigated. Now, to be fair, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. But, and also, as you know, the Clarion Ledger doesn't report this if there's no source. And the criminal defendants don't say this because they could be hit with an obstruction charge. This information is coming from the prosecutors because it's called chumming the water. Whenever you see something in the news, 46 new indictments. 46 new indictments on the news case. No one knows that's coming out. It's sealed. There's one group of people who know those indictments just became new on the news.
What is an indictment,
An
Brent?
indictment is
how does one get indicted?
An indictment is when it's a probable cause that you've committed a crime, okay? And I want to make sure the standard, I've never actually done indictments, I've defended them, but it's when a grand jury finds that
How does the grand jury get convened?
They call the grand jury like they do a jury.
Who is they?
Depending on the agency. It's whether it's stronger than probable cause, there's probable cause hearing. But when they have a grand jury, the prosecutor gets to put on the evidence of whether you committed a crime. You don't get to put on any defense.
Put the prosecutor, in this case, that's the district attorney or the attorney general?
Right now, it looks like the U.S. attorney and the Hinds County district attorney, Jody Owens.
And so they convene the grand jury.
Yes.
And they present the evidence to the grand jury that says that it appears that you committed a crime.
Correct.
And the grand jury has to determine if there's enough evidence there for
to
indict you and go to trial.
Yes, or they turn out what's called a no bill, and a no bill means you didn't do it or they couldn't make an agreement. The old saying is you can indict a ham sandwich because the ham sandwich doesn't get to put on a defense. Half the time, a defendant doesn't even know he's in front of the grand jury. They call the victim, they call the officer, maybe put on some videotape. Okay. But
so now, no one that I know of has been indicted in the case that you were talking about. I don't know if it's a case, but in the scenario that you were talking
You're
about,
talking about
Lisa Ross.
Yes,
I don't know of anyone that's been indicted.
No indictments have been made public.
Well, I don't know if there have been any indictments that are sealed.
You wouldn't know about a sealed indictment.
But would
sealed.
Would you know if the grand jury was convened?
No.
Okay, so we don't know.
Secretive.
So the young person hired Lisa Ross to represent them in the allegations that there were some missing money, and you called it $1 million.
I didn't call it the $1 million. The Clarion Ledger called it $1 million.
The Clarion Ledger called it $1 million.
Yes.
And so, and nothing has happened beyond that.
No, there's a criminal investigation. Now, the federal government moves very slow. They hire forensic accountants. Here's a core issue here that people need to understand. When you get indicted in state court, it's literally a form. And, when they read you the indictment, this is when I usually come in as a criminal defense attorney, it's the statute and they fill in your name. And we'll just stick with the cocaine. Brent Hazzard possessed cocaine, violated this code section, blah, blah, blah. And that's it. So it's usually one page, about a paragraph. The district attorney or the ADA who signed that case and the cops or the investigators are learning about the case as they go to trial. Usually they don't know anything about the case really until maybe a week or two before trial in state court. That's because there's too many cases in the state system. There's the ADAs, the public defenders are overworked. But it's really, I've been handed stuff to me the day of trial, and I'm like, I just got this. Well, I'll give you 5 minutes to look at it.
Wow. Well, somebody is not getting very good legal representation if you just got it in 5 minutes. But let me go.
Whoa, sunshine.
How can you be a good lawyer if you just got it in 5 minutes?
The prosecutor just gave it to me. And I moved for a continuance, and the judge says, I'll give you 5 minutes.
Wow.
Thank you. Don't be besmirching me on this show.
Well, the deal is,
any place, any time. If you want to see smoke, man, they call me the Smoke Show.
Look, I'm trying to get to the essence.
I am educating you, Socrates. I'm educating you, and here's how the feds work.
Go ahead.
The feds release the hounds because the ADAs, you'll never hear their percentages because it doesn't really matter. You can't tell me Robert Smith's victory percentages. You can't tell me Ed Steve. It's never discussed. On the feds, if you're below 92%, I've been told, you're basically failing. So because that's how they judge on promotion, is what your winning percentage is. So before they move.
Winning, is that finding somebody guilty of a crime?
Guilty, or getting a plea.
So if you find enough people guilty of a crime, we'll promote you?
Yes. It's an adversarial system. We keep score.
Wow.
I mean, you're used to those participation trophies.
So it's real important to the federal prosecutors to win the case far beyond what justice might call for.
And this is why their indictments, if you pull a federal indictment, they're about 50 pages. If you pull a federal indictment, they have wiretaps. Now, they don't actually wiretap anymore. They turn your cell phone on against you. When they pull a federal indictment, they've been down at your bank account with the forensic accountants. I've known people that have had forensic accountants on their accounts for 2 years to a point, and no one can say anything or it's obstruction of justice. They have literally told people, come get your money because we don't want you here anymore. This happens. So those federal indictments, I've seen 36-page in federal indictments. I've seen 50-page in federal indictments. That's the whole case. So what they do is then they come up to you and say, hey, Socrates, you know Brent Hazzard? And if you lie, that's where your obstruction of justice comes. That's where your perjury comes. They're testing you. When a Fed talks to you, they know everything about you already.
Hold your point, Brent. We are having an interesting discussion, and we're going somewhere with this because the meltdown in our city government occurred because our mayor had reached a point of frustration until he lashed out in a manner that many think was improper. But there were some things driving this behavior and that frustration level. And we're going to talk about what had occurred prior to that press conference. I want you to stay tuned. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
S2-E16.com is paving the way forward for a safer city government, delivering cutting-edge biosecurity and biosafety protocols developed internationally by top virologists and scientists using an all-natural cleaning solution, killing COVID-19 on contact like no other product on the international market. For more information, please call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at SGECOVIDsolutions.com. Let SGECOVIDsolutions.com provide innovative rapid facilities testing and world-class state-of-the-art biorisk safety protocols for all of your coronavirus needs. Call 1-800-281-9080 or visit us online at SGECOVIDsolutions.com.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the We Believe Global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at webelieve.global.
We Believe wants to hear from you. To be on tonight's show, please call 1-800-492-5186. Watch live at webelievedigital.com. To be on tonight's show, please call 1-800-492-5186.
We're broadcasting live from Jackson, Mississippi, in the heart of the Deep South, in the poorest state in the nation, where poverty reigns supreme. Over 40% of Jackson's population lives below the poverty line. The entire 2nd Congressional District is borderline at the poverty line. Mississippi is poor. And when you have extreme poverty, you have crime, and you have corruption, and you have disagreements that boil over. And so we were talking about the allegations that our mayor of the city of Jackson made at his press conference that certain members of the Jackson City Council had taken a bribe. And the council member, Kenny Stokes, responded and said he believes that the mayor of the city of Jackson is smoking dope. So we've reached in a low point, and we need to understand how we got here. So let me just try and chronicle what the mayor had been through prior to that press conference. The mayor had tried to get a client to pick up garbage in the city of Jackson since October, the mayor sent out a request for a proposal for a client so that he could select a client to pick up our garbage. Waste Management had had the contract for over 35 years, so it couldn't be automatically renewed. It had to go out to bid. When the proposals came back in, there were 3 responders: FCC, I think they may be headquartered in Spain; Waste Management, probably headquartered in Chicago; and Richards Disposal, headquartered in New Orleans, Louisiana. FCC was the lowest responder, and the mayor presented FCC to the council for award of a 6-year contract valued at about $10 million to pick up garbage in our cities. The council rejected the mayor's recommendations of FCC. The council did not give any reason for denying the vote, so the mayor resubmitted FCC before the council at a next council meeting, and the council voted the mayor's choice down again. So at this point, the mayor, realizing that he had less than 60 days before garbage would be all over the streets in the city of Jackson, declared an emergency and selected a local firm to begin picking up garbage. The firm was National Waste United, a local firm owned by African Americans right here in Jackson, Mississippi. The council at the next meeting declared that there was no emergency and overturned that declaration, thereby, some believe, nullifying the contract that had been awarded to National Waste United. Then the council hires their own attorney, and they go to court to try to get the authority for them to award the contract to Waste Management. The courts indicated to them that they had stepped way beyond their boundaries, their rights. There was an executive branch and there's a legislative branch, and only the executive branch can select a provider and present the proposal and to the council for their approval. So now the mayor has less than 3 weeks before garbage is all over the street, so he entered into a 6-month contract with Waste Management to continue picking up the garbage while he submits a new RFP. The mayor sends out a new RFP, and 3 providers submitted: FCC, Richards Disposal, and Waste Management.
Okay, what's the initials you're using?
FCC?
No, the RFP.
RFP, Request for a Proposal.
How does that work?
Request for a Proposal is the state standard methodology for selecting contracts for professional services that are not commodities in construction, where you have to have a hard bid. But all of your lawyers, all of your architects, all of your engineers, all of your service providers, your consultants, etc., are procured using the request for a proposal concept. Many say that it's a beauty contest at that point because it's so subjective in terms of the process. The wizard over at the Northside Sun declared that the RLP stands for Request for Friends and Pals. But he,
wait. What word did you say? Wizard?
Yeah, the wizard. That's what I call him.
Like intelligence?
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's really brilliant.
Oh, not a Klansman reference.
Oh.
I'm just asking because it could have gone either way.
I hadn't thought about it, but in terms of that, I think, he could wear the hood very easily. And so, even though this process has been in existence for 200 years without a problem, it's just a problem now that African Americans are using the process, and they are selecting people to do things through this process that don't necessarily have to be white owned. And so, anyway, the mayor sent the proposal out, and now Richards Disposal, an African-American firm out of New Orleans, Louisiana, is the best responder with the lowest bid, some $10 million lower over 6 years than the current provider. The council rejects the mayor's recommendation of Richards Disposal. And the council then goes into session and says that there is no emergency declaration, and they vote to overturn the mayor's emergency declaration like they had done the first time. But then the council got legal advice, because I don't think anybody on the council is smart enough to figure this out, but the council got legal advice and then came back and amended their vote saying that there is an emergency. So they had to go back and reinstitute the emergency to continue with the strategy that they now have developed. And the strategy is now, since there is an emergency, they amended the mayor's order, struck Richards' Disposal out of the order, and inserted Waste Management's name in that order. Never in the history before have we ever seen anything like that. And every legal scholar that I have spoken to said that that is illegal. So then right after that, the mayor presents a claims document before this council to pay the bills of the city, and the council votes against the claims document. Now that means that the vendors can't get paid. That means that this mayor is being pushed in a corner where he is not going to be able to run this city with a council that's providing this kind of disruption. So the mayor calls a press conference and he says that he believes that the council people are taking bribes. I feel for his frustration, attorney. If you were mayor and you were being treated that way, I believe you would find some way to lash out at what's going on.
Well, so we were talking about the kickbacks earlier. No one right now has been found to be receiving kickbacks. That was just a weird statement. So, I mean, taking the analysis of taking the possibilities of Ms. Ross's statement, because Ms. Ross knows that statement's going to be used somewhere in that trial. She's playing chess, not checkers. So someone is at least there's a criminal probe with someone from the city. Could be councilman, could be mayor, could be someone in between. I've heard from a source that I believe that someone from the city has quoted, "I'm not going to be sleeping on concrete floors by myself." I've heard that. I believe that's true. Now, who that is...
Does that mean that they plan to be sleeping on concrete floors?
That means someone from the federal government has explained to them how the world works and that what they've done is illegal, in my opinion. Now, the way the federal government works is they build a pyramid. They go after the peons and say, do you want to do 10 years or do you want to give up your supervisor? And then they go to the supervisor, do you want to do 10 years or do you want to go to the, give up to, and then they just build a pyramid. They only have one play in their playbook because of the federal government. You're not going to outspend them. You're not going to outwork them because they have unlimited resources. With that said, let's go through the analysis. The mayor knows someone's on the take. Because what he said is a defamatory statement, and that's why I'm being clear here. No one's been found to be taking bribes or being on. But let's go through the scenario. He has evidence of this bribes. Okay, he needs to produce the evidence.
Are you saying that he does have evidence?
If he does, okay. He needs to produce it. He's a lawyer. He understands.
Why would he produce it? I thought
because it's defamation if he's not, and he can be sued and can be held liable. If I say you're selling cocaine to run your company, that could hurt your future business and your reputation because I'm accusing you of criminal behavior. And by the way, I did come back to me. An indictment is a probable cause. It's more probable than not. I haven't done indictments in a while. I got out of prosecution for a reason. But, so, if that's true, he needs to produce the evidence now. Now, maybe he can't produce the evidence because there's a grand jury or criminal investigation and he'd be hit with obstruction. But then if you're worried about obstruction, you wouldn't say people are taking bribes.
Isn't the mayor a lawyer?
Yes, I said that.
So as a lawyer, he would know.
He knows all this.
All what you're saying.
Yeah.
So he must feel strongly that the council members
are taking bribes. But he needs to present that at the next city council meeting.
Would he present it to the council or would he present it to the grand jury?
He could have a press conference. Grand jury proceedings are secretive. So if he said that, he's already voided the secretive investigation of a grand jury. So now that he's voided it, unless he could say, I made a mistake, I got emotional, but he needs to present the evidence he have of people taking bribes. Now, if just his opinion, he needs to go back and say, in my opinion, this behavior is so strange.
Well, didn't he say, I believe? Doesn't that classify as...
I did not see the quote.
He said, I believe.
Oh, okay. So maybe that's the legal analysis he's qualifying. Kenny Stokes says he's smoking dope, and I'll go get a drug test. And Kenny Stokes went and got a drug test yesterday. But no, I mean, let's put this scenario. Maybe he's being proactive. Maybe he's being defensive by going on the offense.
Hold your point, Brent. We're going to get to the bottom of this, maybe not on this show, but we'll continue until we do. It's critically important. Our government is in trouble. The confidence in the government by the citizens of Jackson is at an all-time low. Stay tuned. We'll be back after this commercial.
New Cannabis Premium Dispensary is providing community health and wellness through CBD and Delta-8. Both CBD and Delta-8 provide an array of health benefits, aiding in appetite, sleep, anxiety, depression, chronic pain, and more. New Cannabis Premium Dispensary provides a variety of CBD and Delta-8 products, including gummies, candies, pre-rolls, pain creams, isolate drops, cartridge pens, and so much more. To learn more about New Cannabis products or to place an order, please call or text 415-465-9292 or visit us online at newcannabis.com and follow us on Instagram at newcannabisjackson.
Advertise on WeBelieve.global, a brand new digital media platform. Share your brand with our audience on our many global live stream TV broadcasts and over the radio. For more info, visit WeBelieve.global or call 800-492-5186, option 1.
We Believe wants to hear from you. To be on tonight's show, please call 1-800-492-5186. Watch live at WeBelieveDigital.com. To be on tonight's show, please call 1-800-492-5186.
So we're back, and we're broadcasting live right here from Jackson, Mississippi at WeBelieveDigital.com, our own platform. On Roku, our app sits right next to Showtime and Netflix. So support us at 800-492-5186. We're having an interesting show, and we're talking about the meltdown in the city government in Jackson, Mississippi, and we'll also talk about the meltdown in county government. And it appears that African-American leadership is under siege, that we are in trouble, and we're going to have to figure out what the problem is. Now, Brent, you were saying that Kenny Stokes said that the mayor was smoking dope. He didn't say, I believe, so is he liable?
Yes, if he feels like he's smoking dope. But he said today, and we watched the clip before the show, and it's on Jackson Jambalaya. I'm assuming it's on a couple of other websites, that the mayor is smoking too much dope in these nightclubs. And Kenny Stokes made a statement yesterday that the mayor said he'll go get a drug test if I'll go get a drug test. Well, I'm here to go get a drug test. Because you can say a lot you want to, negative or positive about Kenny. Don't give him a stage, because he's been performing for 25 years better than everybody else. He saw an opportunity. He doubled down and said, hey, where's the drug test?
He doubled down and said that he's not taking smoking dope, but he might have exposed himself when he said the mayor was.
Well, he made that accusation, so now he could be liable if it's untrue.
Well, did you call Kenny to see if he needed a good lawyer? Because we don't think that a mayor and a lawyer of the talent and experience of Mayor Lumumba would be smoking dope.
I mean, I don't know about him personally, but I mean, one, with the advancements of legalization of marijuana.
Oh, okay. Medical marijuana?
Medical marijuana. But I mean, I'm sure there's some outstanding attorneys across the nation that smoke weed. I don't, because I hate smoking. But I'm just saying I would disagree with your assessment.
What are you saying? You're saying, is it okay to smoke weed?
Not in Mississippi, no. It's not.
You said some outstanding attorneys that are doing cocaine and smoking dope?
Oh, there's been documents. It's documented that some of your best attorneys have done, or some of your best Wall Street analysts have done, have been also addicts, because it feeds into the narcissism, it feeds into the addictive personality. So I'm not going to say those they're not a healthy lifestyle.
You have a questionable personality, Brent.
Just because I hate you, Socrates, doesn't mean I have a questionable personality.
You are one of these guys who said once that 90% of the people in the world are no good. And
no, I said they were burned.
What does that mean?
Damnation.
So anybody who says that is something wrong with them. So,
really?
Yeah. So you're not smoking anything.
I mean, my name's not on everything I own. Just FYI, I don't have Socrates Garrett Enterprises, and I'm just saying.
That's my brand, Brent.
I know it's your brand.
Okay, so I have to promote my brand. But let's get back, Brent.
Go ahead.
Let's get back.
Okay.
So Kenny Stokes made that allegation.
Yes.
And
I think he was defending himself.
What is the next logical step here? Now, if he went to the Attorney General, which according to reports he did, what will the Attorney General do?
Well, okay, let's go back a little bit.
Okay.
How long has Kenny Stokes been in public government?
No, 30 years.
Okay. So if he had a drug issue or was taking bribes, as unpopular as Kenny Stokes has been when he was telling people from George Street to throw rocks at cop cars, if they were going to have anything on Kenny, someone would have found it by now, right? I mean, is that a safe statement to say? Because he's been in the game for 20 years.
A long time.
Yes. Virgie, somewhat new. Mr. Foote, somewhat new. Then you have two brand new city councilmen.
Well, the mayor's charges indicated that Foote and Stokes were very close to one another. As strange bedfellows is how he put it. When was the last time you saw a Republican from Northeast Jackson with Kenny Stokes from Ward 3, who has been very vocal in saying that white people have harmed this city and harmed black people? So
prior to Georgetown.
Yes. So the mayor says their association right now is very interesting.
Okay. I've not seen any reports of Ashley Foote or Kenny Stokes being investigated.
No.
Okay.
No.
I haven't seen any statements. Do you know of any contracts that Kenny Stokes or Ashley Foote or any of the city council awarded where no work has been done?
No, but the contract and the award of the contract for the garbage collection that I outlined is the essence of the mayor's frustration.
Do you believe that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What are you
if you were mayor and you made a recommendation on 3 different occasions for 2 different vendors, and you were rejected by the council.
Would that really be frustrating, or is that just how it's supposed to work? I mean, I make a recommendation. It's my job to pick. Your job to say yes or no. I have that correct?
Yeah, but it's not your job to insert someone else in the contract. They can't strike Richard's disposal and put in waste management.
Okay, what is the proper mechanism? They vote. I'll put you up. They vote you down.
Right.
What's the proper mechanism there? I don't know, sincerely.
The proper mechanism then is for the mayor to rally his troops in the council and try to get the votes he needs to get his recommendations passed.
Would he go to option 2?
4 votes.
Would he go to option 2, or would he go back to option 1. When you say rally the troops, he seemed like he went with option 1. They voted that down. Then he went with option 2. Is that a...
No. He continues to resubmit his first choice.
Okay.
So he hadn't gone to option 2. He is saying that this is the best contract for the citizens of Jackson. He says it's $10 to $12 million savings, beyond the fact that it's an opportunity for an African-American owned firm to pick up this garbage in Jackson in an 85% black city,
okay,
which some people are sensitized to that. None of those people at Jackson Jambalaya and the Northside Sun are sensitized to that, of course, but some are, and they believe that if you have capable people, they should be given opportunity where opportunity has been denied in the past. And I think Waste Management has had it for 35 years. So I can see the mayor's frustration.
Now, if you're talking about, would it be outside the realm of possibility that Waste Management understands they have a good contract and they want to donate to politicians? That's not outside the scope. Any major contractor, any major vendor would make political donations. When it becomes to a bribe, my understanding is it's quid pro. I'm giving you this $50,000 for this microphone, or to be elected to clean up this studio. That's where it becomes illegal. Would looking from it as
I don't know if you have to have a specific thing that you're asked to do.
Quid pro quo, yes.
I mean, but it could be broader than this microphone. It could be that, I'm going to sponsor your events. In the case of Aaron Banks, sponsor the events for the mayors, the black mayors, the municipal league, where the council people all came into Jackson, and they had to have a sponsor, and I think Waste Management was their premier sponsor.
But that doesn't make it illegal per se. It just, now some people might not enjoy that relationship, but my understanding has to be someone's got to say, like the governor of Illinois, when the U.S. Senate came open, he said, "How much can I get for this Senate seat?"
Well, yeah, he did, but.
Because Haley Barber's the king of taking PAC money and people getting contracts. It's not illegal.
So again, the little man that doesn't have a PAC gets somebody to sponsor a local event, and that's questionable as to whether that's a relationship that he can have with a vendor that he's got to vote for.
But when you mentioned they went and got a separate counsel, usually the guilty does not bring in a separate attorney.
Well, this council has often brought in a separate attorney because they are fighting with the mayor, and the mayor appoints the
city attorney.
Yes. So this is a strange relationship between the legislative and the executive branch because they share an attorney. And so, you're going to get into those situations where they feel that they need their own representation. But Brent, we're running toward the end of the show, so I got to get you to come back, and we got to keep dialing into this until we make it make some sense. Because currently, there's too much speculation. There's too many allegations. There are too many lives at stake that's going to be destroyed. Too many careers are going to be lost if we don't get a handle on it.
When you say too many, but now you probably missed this. Shad White came on my show, and when I asked him specifically if he was investigating the city for any issues, he had to say no comment, and I took that as there was an investigation. So we're going to get to the bottom of it through federal, state, or Hinds County District Attorney. We'll be able to know this. But thank you for letting me come on. If anybody needs to hire me, you can call us at 601-988-888 at Swartz & Associates. But it's always been enjoyable, Mr. Garrett.
Thanks for viewing with us tonight. Until next week, we'll be right back here trying to work it out. Good night. Good evening. I'm Socrates Garrett, and we're broadcasting live from right here in Jackson, Mississippi. the heart of the Deep South, right here in the African American owned broadcasting studio. WeBelieveDigital.com, our own platform. And so it's critically important that in the African American community we control the narrative. I look forward to receiving opportunities to show and advertise your products for goods and services and to move your brand along in this community. We're broadcasting live on Facebook. When We Believe Digital Podcast, go to Roku and download our app, and We Believe Global, with shows like this to bring articulate, intelligent conversations and dialogue to our platform. So I'm here to continue sounding the alarm. This is how the South is going to rise again.
Do you have something to say? Do you want your voice heard? Join the WeBelieve.global lineup. Be the star of your own show. For more info, call 800-492-5186, option number 1, or visit online at WeBelieve.global.